when you come home, if you want a romantic relationship, you've got to leave the masculine energy at work.
What do you think happened to men and women during the last many years that we lost it? We lost
It-
our feminine energy, we lost our masculine energy, and
that the man is the one that can make or break a marriage.
what would you say to the women whose partner's husband do not want to listen? Not at all. They
Yeah.
just want to be like strong leaders. I'm not going to listen to you, you're
Mhm.
a woman. Hello, everyone. This is a time when we are coming back to our passion talks. And I am so honored to be here with you today and with my special guest. It's a lady. She is an incredible person. And I really love to listen to her, learn from her on a regular daily basis. She is, first of all, wife, mom, pastor, podcaster, and speaker. And she has so many more passions. God is always on the first place. Let's welcome Danielle Catherine Hage. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation. I really love your channel. I really love your Instagram, and I would love to ask you so many questions. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was fun. Thank you. I'm honored and privileged that you would even have me. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You
Mhm.
speak about men and women, about feminine energy and masculine energy, but you also are passionate about being a wife. That's the first, then being a mom and a pastor of the church. And also you love fashion, fitness, and so many other things. Which one is your favorite?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, your passions change over the years, right? And so I was, as a young person, I was always very interested in fitness, health and fitness. And back then they called it, aerobic classes. So
Okay.
I was aerobic instructor and, just always learning about health and nutrition and exercise and fitness, all that stuff. And then I was a personal trainer for years and had my own little personal training business.
Wow.
All the while I was married and having children. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely passionate about marriage and family and relationships and teaching people about personality types and love languages and all the tools to help people be able to understand one another so they can get along and stay married, and be happily married. And so I think just all of it together as I've gotten older, now I'm a grandma. In fact, I just had my sixth grandchild 2 days ago. So
Congratulations.
yeah, we're on number six. And so I love, I once a month fly to Dallas and that's where I do my podcasting and my son produces it. And so I get to see my three granddaughters and spend time with them. And then my grandsons are here in California with me. But yeah, I'm passionate about all of it. But honestly, if I was asked to speak somewhere on relationships
Uh-huh.
and asked to babysit my grandkids, I would say I'm going to go take the speaking engagement.
Oh,
I would.
okay.
Although I love the kids, but right now I'm really in that, mode of teaching and preaching and
Well,
yeah.
and I guess not only me, but everybody can feel it. Like it really is strong message you're putting into your channel and all of your social media. And I wanted to ask you how do you divide your
Well,
energy to do all of it?
well, my kids, I have adult children, they're grown, they're gone. So we're empty nested. And we have the church, I co-pastor with my husband. So when he's out of town, I speak on Sundays, which is once or twice a month,
Okay.
just depending on his schedule. And so I have to take the time to prepare, the messages. And then when I'm not preparing messages, I'm writing my podcasts.
How did it start and when did it start? Then you felt that you are very interesting in feminine energy, masculine energy, and also to record all of this on your social media.
Well, I've been teaching classes and seminars for men and for women
Mhm.
for the last 25 years, all
Okay.
usually within our church and within churches across the nation. I do these seminars and stuff. So I've been doing that for a very long time. And my son, last year, it's been 1 year since I started doing putting it on social media. And
Okay.
my children, because they're more techie than I am, they'd been saying for years, Mom, you got to get your stuff on social media. And I'm
Okay.
like, I just, it's just hard for me and I can't stay consistent. So my son last year
Mhm.
called me and said, Mom, we need to start a podcast. He goes, you have such good information. We need to get it out there. And I said, okay, if you can produce it, because I don't know anything about that. And he
Uh-huh.
goes, you're going to once a month. And he goes, and we'll just start and we'll see what happens. And he said, don't expect anything for the first year. The internet will let you know if they like what you're saying. He goes, it might not do anything. And it blew up really fast. It just went crazy. And we were all shocked. I'm like, wow, everybody is interested in relationships. Like,
Yeah.
and I think I have really been educated in this last year because I always taught my stuff within the cocoon of the church world, but now it's out there for all of the world to see. And the comments that I'm getting back in the DMs and all the different messages, there's some really hurting people out there in regards to marriage and relationships. Some very bitter men toward women and some very bitter women toward men. And I'm hearing all the time, I hear women say, where are all the good men? Where have the good men gone? And
Mhm.
I hear men saying the same thing. Where are the good, virtuous women? And
Right.
so like they're both looking for each other.
Right.
You just come together. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of hurt and a lot of wounding. And I think people they don't understand that love is not a feeling. They don't understand that it's a decision, a choice, a behavior, a commitment. You're not going to wake up every single day feeling like you're in that euphoric state of love that you first had when you met that person, dated them, and decided to marry them. And when that feeling starts to fade a little bit, then that's when the real relationship starts. That's when you choose to behave lovingly, even when you don't feel it. And I think that takes maturity. I didn't know that as a young person. Nobody ever taught me that. And I got married at 19. And when I was
Oh.
dating, I definitely felt like I was falling in love with him. And probably 3 months into it, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm in love. And he was like, love's not a feeling, it's a choice. And I'm like, no, it's not. And I said, are you telling me I have to choose right now at 19 for the rest of my life to love you? And he said, yeah, that's what it's about. And I just was like, no. And I broke up with him. And then I missed him after 2 weeks of no contact. And I went
Mhm.
back to him and said, maybe I've changed my mind. I still didn't think I was ready to get married that young, but he knew he wanted to be a pastor.
Mhm.
And, we were very attracted to each other physically. And
Okay.
he said,
Okay.
I can't be messing around and not be married. Bottom line. And I was like, I'm too young. And he's like, okay, we either break up or we get married. He goes, because I am going to go full time in the ministry. I'm not going to mess that up.
And
And
what did
so
you say then?
so he asked me to marry him and I said yes.
Oh.
And I thought, man, this is going to be crazy because we're so young. And we said, well, we're not going to have children for at least 5 years. So I'm going to finish college. I was in school. And then 4 months into it, I got pregnant. And that was a surprise because we're like, I had my first baby at 21 years old, but we're like, okay, well, wasn't really the plan, but okay, I guess we weren't being very careful. And so we feel like we kind of grew up with our kids,
Mhm.
but it was great. It's like I loved being a mom. I think I always
Mhm.
really wanted to be a mom. And I loved being involved in ministry in the church world. It was all new to me. I was raised Catholic, so I
Mhm.
didn't even know what the ministry was. I didn't know what a pastor's wife did. He had to, teach me along the way. And it's been great. And we're going on 44 years now.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, I can share that my parents had 50 years anniversary 2 years ago. So,
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
well, how did you do that?
Well,
44 years.
we definitely have had our issues for sure. Everybody does.
Okay.
But I think we always were in a community of people being involved in the church. We were youth pastors at
Mhm.
our first church. And
Okay.
so we always had older people around us that could speak into our lives that we could go to for questions. Um, and I think really that was probably the key for us because we were so young.
Mhm.
And but my husband, he was very much on purpose. He wanted to be in full time ministry, he wanted to be a youth pastor. And so he was following his dream. And I started making babies and I wanted to be a mom. So, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. You know, I said, I don't want to shuffle my kids off to a nanny or to childcare. I
Okay.
want to raise them. And so we were in agreement on that. I do believe that Jesus is the center of our relationship. And when we get in our flesh and we, you know, do things wrong, I just think I think I had to learn how to be a godly wife, and reading the Bible and learning to respect your husband and him learning to love your wife. And, you know, we did our best to follow the word of God. And again, always had some good people around us. Whenever my husband and I would come to a standstill where we couldn't agree on something, I would always say, hey, let's take it to whatever pastor, you know, whoever you respect. And if I'm wrong, I will stand down. And if you're wrong, you need to stand down, and let's get a mediator, someone we both trust and respect. And honestly, I don't think we've ever really had to do that. Like, we've always said, okay, we can work out our problems. We just said, you know, if we're going to be married, it's going to be a good marriage.
Oh,
So
great. Wow. I am so impressed. And well, yeah, you mentioned even on your Instagram when we've been writing that fun is also your passion too. So
yeah, yeah,
it's
it's got to be
amazing
fun.
you can both.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a question we just came up to my mind. You've been saying that so many people is writing to you direct messages, and it is so amazing. And I thank you from my side and probably from all of these people's side that you're responding to that messages. The question is, what do you think happened to men and women during the last many years that we lost it? We lost our feminine energy, we lost our masculine energy.
I think that it probably started back in the 60s
Mm,
when the feminist movement came in to
okay.
town. And
Okay.
I think women empowerment, I'm all about that. I think the feminist movement did a great job in empowering women, getting equal pay for equal work, equal rights. I think all of that is great, you know, because in God's eyes, we are equal. We have different roles. You know, men are going to be stronger and bigger, and women are going to be smaller and weaker. That's just it. That doesn't mean that women are less valuable.
Mhm.
We all have that equal value in the eyes of God, but we do have different roles as men and women. And I think the feminists, it started out good, but then it turned into, we don't need men. We can
Okay.
do everything men can do. We
Okay.
can do better than men can do. And I think that men started getting a bad rap, you know, that, you know, men are oppressive and the patriarchy and all this stuff. And I think there was some of that. And the toxic masculinity. Yes, I think there some masculinity is toxic, you know,
Okay.
abuse and berating and all that stuff. Of course, that's toxic.
Mhm.
But masculinity in and of itself is not toxic. We need the masculine energy. So I think we just got it kind of went sideways where women started, you know, taking on running their own businesses and working their way up the, you know, corporate ladder, which
Mhm.
is awesome.
Uh-huh.
But the feminist movement told us we could have it all. We could be parents, we could be mom, we could have a career, we could have a marriage, and we could still be healthy and have energy. And that is just not true. You cannot have it all at one time.
Mhm.
Something has got to give. Something is going to suffer. It's either going to be your marriage or
Mhm.
your job or
Mhm.
your children or
Mhm.
yourself. And you see a lot of younger women these days that are having heart attacks, they're having adrenal burnout because we weren't designed, our bodies were not designed to work as hard as a man.
Mhm.
We weren't designed to handle stress the way that a man can because of hormones. You know, we're very different. And so we don't have as much testosterone as men. So
Right.
when we're at work and we're in our masculine energy, you had made a comment that I'm in my masculine energy, especially at work. And I thought to myself, absolutely, you have to be
Right.
because you're calling the shots, you're having to produce, you have deadlines. All of that is masculine energy. But here's the thing, when you come home, if you want a romantic relationship, you've got to leave the masculine energy at work. You've got to transition back into being the feminine woman if you want to be in a romantic relationship. Because a masculine man does not want to date or marry another masculine man,
Right.
a straight
How do
man
you do
anyway.
that? How do you do that?
Okay, first of all, being aware. being aware, okay, wait a minute, when I come home, I'm going to take that softer, quieter position with my husband. I don't have to call the shots. I don't have to make all the decisions. I don't have to be the initiator. Let him initiate, let him problem solve. You be the responder, because masculine energy is the pursuer, the initiator, the worker, the protector, the provider,
Mhm.
the competitor, the conqueror.
Mhm.
Feminine energy is the responder, a more passive. And people get weird when I say passive. I'm not talking about like passive aggressive. I'm not talking about passivity in a negative sense, but I mean taking that softer role. He needs the nurturance, the soft. Like masculine men crave a woman's femininity. It renews them. It's like a breath of fresh air for them. They don't need their woman competing with them. Who's more tired? Who needs sex more? Like they don't need, I bring in more, you bring in more, I'm doing more. They don't need that.
Mhm.
They need a woman that is going to nurture them and submit to them. And I know women get crazy about the word submit,
I know.
but
No.
a masculine man that treats his woman like the queen that she is a protector, a provider. A healthy woman would have no problem submitting to that kind of man.
Right.
A man that she trusts, that she feels safe with,
Mhm.
that is her protector, her provider, that has her well-being in mind. It would come naturally for a
Right.
woman to submit. But
Mhm.
see, the feminist movement have taught women no. They call it subservient. And there's a big difference between subservient and submission.
Mhm.
Okay. And submitting isn't just mean you're bowing down, calling him Lord and King, but you're submitting your suggestions, your ideas. They're like a lot of things play into submission. It doesn't mean you're just silent, you have no voice, you have no input. No, that's not my husband always says it like this. We discuss as equals,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, somebody has to come up with the final decision.
Okay.
And I will defer to him because he is the man.
Mhm.
Now, there are all kinds of times when he defers to me because I might have a better idea or a better solution. But so we both submit our ideas and our thoughts, and we hear
Okay.
each other out. And whatever looks the best way to go for our home, for our marriage, for our jobs, for our finances,
Mhm.
we will go that way. So and I think it takes being mature. And I don't just mean mature in age, I mean emotional maturity. 30-year-olds can be mature emotionally. You don't have to wait till you're 60. And I think if you're wanting to learn, I mean, I read everything I could get my hands on as a
Mhm.
young wife, young mom, because I wanted to do it right. Go ahead, next question.
Okay, well, you just answered so many questions that I have written, and you said what men want from women, from their feminine energy. Do they need, and what do they want? What would you say about women? What women want?
Okay, and just real quick, let me go back because you
Mhm.
had said, how do you change in from your masculine energy into your feminine
Right,
energy?
right.
So
Mhm.
first of all, we all of us, men and women, have both types of energy. We both have a masculine energy within, and we both have feminine. Okay.
Mhm.
Women are super adaptable. So they can adapt easier, I think, than men into whatever situation they're in. So
Okay.
when you're at work, you adapt into your masculine energy. When you come home, you can adapt into your feminine energy, and you can do things like I talk about nurturing your femininity.
Mhm.
um, Maybe you take a bath, maybe
Okay.
you put makeup on, maybe you change clothes, whatever it takes to make you feel girly,
Mhm.
feminine. And it's not even just about what you're wearing, it's about your attitude, your
Mhm.
disposition. That,
Mhm.
yeah, you've been working all day, your husband's been working all day, but you're going to, I mean, it's great if you can take turns and evening up the chores and that kind of stuff, but your attitude of nurturing and what can I do for you, honey, and just being that woman, being the feminine woman, whatever that takes to get to that place. And sometimes it just, you might need 30 minutes to kind of come down and
Mhm.
decompress from the day. My daughter is 35 years old,
Mhm.
and she's got a lot of masculine energy, and she's been
Okay.
single. She just got married last year, so she was really used to running her life, running the show. And then she got married, and she knows about masculine and feminine energy. And she told me, she said, it's hard when I come home from work. It's hard to turn back into a woman, mom.
Mm.
And I asked, well, what do? She goes, I definitely need that time to zone out
Mhm.
and to relax and maybe have a glass of wine or, whatever it takes just to become soft again, where you're not, in charge, calling the shots, you allow your husband to. And then there's times like after marriage that you can have discussions of, I might be better in one area than my husband. So he'll say, you run in that area. You're better at that than me. I'm going to let you have that, and he's better at certain things. So whatever you bring to the table that is in your strength,
Mhm.
it would behoove couples for a man to say, hey, my wife's better at finances, or my wife's better at discipline with the kids, or my wife's better at cooking, whatever it is, and let him do that. But in some households, the man's better at cooking. The man loves going to the grocery store. So again, just depends on the individual couple,
Okay.
whatever it is you both agree on and you're in unity about. Now, your next question.
Yes.
What does a feminine woman need in a masculine man? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, what do they need? What do they want?
What do they want? Well, first, what all women want, I think, is they want what Cinderella and Snow White promised. They want the fairy tale because
Yes.
most of us grew up on Disney, right? And the fairy tales and Sleeping Beauty and Beauty and the Beast, and we want that knight in shining armor to come rescue us.
Mhm.
But a feminist woman would say, I don't need a man to rescue me. But a
Right.
man, he wants a woman to rescue. He wants a woman to sweep a woman off her feet. So we have to position ourselves in a place to be, for a man to want to do for us, to provide for us. I think women desire a strong masculine man,
Mhm.
his leadership,
Mhm.
but she's got to allow him to lead. If because women will say, I want a man that can lead me, but you have to allow him to lead, even if when you feel like you're smarter or you can do it better. Sometimes you just have to close your mouth
It
and
is
let him do
hard.
it his way. And that is hard a lot of
Yeah.
times. Again, it's you taking that role as the feminine. And I know, for my husband and I, there would be times where I'd say, I don't think you're making the right decision about this.
Mhm.
And we would, we'd argue about it. And I would even say, okay, I don't trust the decision you're going to make right now, but I trust the God in you. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to be praying
Mhm.
that God speaks to you and trust that. And whenever I would do that, he would come back to me before he'd make a certain decision. He'd be like, now tell me again what you're thinking, because I put that's a lot of weight on him, a lot of pressure. Like,
Mhm.
I am totally trusting your call on this. And there were times where he didn't make the right decision.
Mhm.
And there were times where I didn't. And we all make poor decisions at times,
Mhm.
but I don't hold that over his head. I don't hammer and badger him. See, I told you, I told you. I just, realize that he's a grown human being that is imperfect
Mhm.
and fallible. And, you make the best decision with the knowledge you have at the time. Sometimes it's not right, and that's okay, for better or for worse, right? We said for better or for worse when we got married. So
Right. But you are the great example of the couple who argue, who have a discussions, and who speak about all of the things you would like to speak. What would you say to the women whose partners, husband do not want to listen? Not at all. They
yeah.
just want to be like strong leaders. I'm not gonna listen to you're
Mhm.
a woman and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, I think, and I think I just there was a reel up today, my latest reel, where I said, the biggest mistakes that men make with women.
I
And
saw the video.
one of those mistakes is not letting her have influence and a
Mhm.
voice in
Mhm.
your guys' marriage, because you married her because you had some respect for her. Like,
Right.
you didn't marry a dummy, and so you need to give her that respect. And the way that the Love and Respect book that you're reading
Yes.
puts it, when a woman is cherished, when she feels loved, and a man is lovingly leading her, she'll feel cherished, she will feel respected. And when a man is respected, he will feel cherished,
Mhm.
meaning loved and nurtured. So it just lands on us differently because we're different, genders. But
Right.
but I think that's a huge mistake for men. And I think men, it's also, research has also shown, and this, I have to say, this surprised me. I just learned this just in this last year, from John Gottman, the psychologist John Gottman, who's got all the research on couples, and I think he has a 93.6% accuracy rate
Mhm.
of he can tell if a couple's going to make it or they're going to end up divorced within 15 minutes of meeting them. So
Wow.
he's done all the research, yeah. And he says that the man is the one that can make or break a marriage, the man. And he kind of puts the responsibility right where God puts it, that men are the head of the household. They're the headship, the leaders, the spiritual leaders. So I think men need to take that very seriously. And if you're a man listening to this and you're treating your woman with love and respect and honor, and
Mhm.
she has a voice and she has an opinion, and you don't shut her down, you don't, you talk through things, you don't shut her up, that it can be awesome for you. It will help you. She was designed to be your helpmate. Okay.
Well,
And
yeah,
I
the
know,
reason why I was asking, because I know women whose partners, whose husband were saying, you need to put me on the place of God. And
no, yeah,
yeah, right,
they're
right,
not God. They're not God.
right.
And a man that says that, you can't submit to a man that's not submitted to a
Mhm.
higher authority.
Right.
So in the Christian world, like I would tell a Christian girl, don't ever marry a man that doesn't love God more than he loves you, because he's got to have that higher authority in order to be a good leader. He's
Mhm.
got to submit to leadership also. And whether that's his employer at work or a pastor or maybe his father, but a higher authority, ultimately it's God's authority.
Mhm.
Because if he is submitted to God, he's not going to call himself God. Like, but a man that is saying, I'm God, there's a problem there. Okay. He needs to have the humility to
Mhm.
say, I'm going to do my best to lead you. Yeah, I might make mistakes, and I definitely want your opinion. And most men want their wives' approval, and, because they want their affection, their approval, their appreciation. It's what makes him feel like her hero, her
Mhm.
masculine man.
Mhm.
So, and again, I think unhealthy men that of course, narcissists, sociopaths, those
Mhm.
kind of men are going to they're going to take that word submission to the umpth degree and misuse it. Okay. So, but most healthy men know that here's how I'm to treat a woman. She's got to be able to have a voice.
Okay. All right.
So
Wow.
be careful who you choose, ladies. Make sure that they're healthy
Exactly.
men, right?
Exactly. Um, I saw your video on your church fund page 1 year ago. You've been recording 7 minutes videos with
Yeah.
your husband,
Yeah.
and you were guys talking about relationships, about partnership, about marriage, and there was one video about differences between emotional attraction and sexual attraction to
Mhm.
both men and women. What are
Yeah.
the differences, and what is it that men do? What activates crazy in women?
Okay. That's probably where I was talking about dating. And when a man and a woman start to date,
Yes.
that a lot of times men
Mhm,
will say out loud, and
mhm.
they forget who's listening, the
Right,
woman.
right,
And they'll
right.
say things like, if they are really into them and they're dating, like, oh my gosh, what, they start speaking possibilities. I want to take you on this trip, or and I want to introduce you to my mom, and I want to, there's this great, concert I want to take you to next
Sometimes
month.
they
Or
sometimes they do that. They do
yeah,
introduce lady to their mom.
right. And so those are all possibilities, but
Mhm,
women a lot of times will take emotional delivery, like, oh my gosh, he wants, it's only June, and he's already talking about 4th of July, so he's still going to be dating me, next month, because he's already making plans. Now
mhm.
he may not have committed to anything, but
Okay.
he's just talking out loud, and
Uh-huh.
he's kind of photoshopping her. How will she get along with my family? How will she get along with my kids if he has children? How will she deal with my workmates? Like, he kind of starts making these plans out loud. And so she's, all of that is causing her feelings to grow more
Right.
and more. And so she takes emotional delivery. And then next month comes, and he never took her to that 4th of July event that he talked about. And so then she starts thinking, oh, he's just a flake and he doesn't keep his word. But see, he was speaking possibilities. He made no promise.
Okay.
But what I tell men is women listen for promises,
Mm-hmm.
but men speak in possibilities. So I
Okay.
tell men, don't say those things out loud because she'll think you're a flake. She'll think that you weren't raised right and that something's wrong with you and that you're a liar. So even if you're thinking it, maybe don't say it out loud. And then for the women, I say, don't take emotional delivery. Realize the
Okay.
reason he's even thinking of this is because he's into you. He's thinking out loud. He's saying this because he likes you. Or
Mhm.
if he wasn't saying those things out loud, he's probably just sexually attracted to. And that's one of the differences in attraction. There's the physical sexual attraction,
Uh-huh.
which if for a man, and it lands on female and male, it's different. For a
Mhm.
man, if he is only physically attracted, thinks you're gorgeous, loves your body, he is only going to want to have sex with you.
Okay.
He's not going to commit to you.
Mhm.
He might not even like you, but he just thinks you're really pretty. Maybe he doesn't even like your personality, but you're pretty. Men will have sex with women they don't like. If a woman's willing to give it up, a man's not going to say no, whether he likes her or not. Okay, most men, Christian or not. So if
Wow.
he's only yeah, if he's only physically attracted, he just wants to have sex, and he may say or do anything he can to get into your pants. If
Mhm.
he's emotionally attracted to you, he wants to get to know you. He wants to spend time. If he's both physically and emotionally attracted to you, he will go out of his way to make you happier. Again, it's not his responsibility to make you happy, but he'll want to contribute to your life to make you happier. He wants to make your dreams come true. He wants to spend lots of time. So there was a couple that I knew a while back, and the girl was totally into the guy, and I knew the guy better, and she was very physically attracted. And
Mhm.
then and so they started to date. And then at a few months down the road, she had called me and said, my friends are saying, how can he be your boyfriend? You only see him like once a month. You don't even date regularly. You don't spend any time together. And this is the beginning of the relationship. Like you're not in a relationship.
Mhm.
And she was like, yeah, that is kind of weird. We don't really spend much time. And so she's telling me this. And I said, I hate to be the one to burst your bubble. I go, and this isn't about you. I go, you're awesome. You're great. He's not into you. And she
Mhm.
was like, I go, he's not willing to spend time with you. And,
Mhm.
and I said, maybe it's his work schedule. She goes, no, I know his schedule. He has lots of time. His work schedule is very flexible. And I said, I'm sorry. I go, a man that's into a woman emotionally
Mhm.
wants to spend time
Right.
more than he wants to spend time with his buddies.
Right.
He wants to spend time with her. I said he's not that into you. And she found out the hard way, and they didn't end up together. But he liked her, and he had respect for her and thought she was very beautiful.
Mhm.
I don't know if they had sex or not, probably did, and that's probably what he wanted. And then he was moving on to the next one. And that's another reason why I tell women, don't have sex with a man before you have a commitment. Like
Mhm.
these days, people hook up first date, second date, huge mistake for the woman, not for the man.
Mhm.
Men don't bond sexually. They're like, cool, they can move on. But for a woman, I
Right.
gave my body. She's waiting for that call the next day. He doesn't call back. She's like, oh my God, what did I do? You had sex with him.
Yeah, because this
Big
is
mistake.
yeah, yeah, it's a big mistake, but also it shows us that we women, we do not date. We start relationships, uh,
Hmm.
right? And men just they are dating, and that's it,
Yeah,
before
they
they
can
have
date
any
3 or 4
commitment.
women at a time. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I know men that are out dating 3 or 4 women at a time, but usually women can do like one at a time because we get emotionally attached to
Mhm.
them. And especially if a woman gives her body, because there's that bonding thing emotionally for a woman. For a man, and now men will say, no, that's not true. I bonded with my wife, during sex. And when they comment like on my social media, I always think, I bet he's either a musician or an artist or a
Okay.
rock. And I look at their profile, musician, artist. I'm like, yeah, because see, they have feminine energy. I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean they're gay or anything like that. They're masculine men with a lot of feminine energy because
Right,
feminine energy is that creative side.
right,
So the
right.
painters, the designers, the hairstylists, those can all be male jobs,
Mhm.
also, and they can be masculine men, but they have a creative side. And so that kind of man will bond sexually just like a woman does.
Right. Well, I'm an artist, and
You
I
are,
have a lot of artists around me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I exactly know what you're talking about.
yeah.